In the intriguing and often surreal realm of conspiracy theories, a narrative that has persisted for decades is the alleged escape of Adolf Hitler to Antarctica at the end of World War II. This fascinating tale delves into the realm of speculation and mystery, fueling the imagination of many and sparking passionate debates that challenge conventional history. While it sounds absurd, this assumption inadvertently raises the question: is it possible that the Führer hid in an ice castle to avoid being captured by the Allies? In today's video, we will thoroughly explore this conjecture. To dispel any trace of doubt, we will tell you about the Nazis' fascination with the frozen continent, as well as the pillars that support the alleged escape of the German Chancellor. Bundle up and prepare for a journey to one of the coldest and most deserted regions on the planet, where it is supposed that the leader of the Third Reich took refuge, planning his sinister return. Welcome once again to Military History. According to the conspiracy theories circulating at that time, after the Allied forces closed in on Berlin, Adolf Hitler did not face the imminent collapse of the Third Reich. Speculation about the alleged escape of the German Chancellor and his fate after World War II has persisted over the decades, fueling paranoid conjectures that challenge the official narrative of his end in Berlin in 1945. In 1952, President Dwight D. Eisenhower expressed doubts about Hitler's death, pointing out the lack of tangible evidence and the widespread belief that the Nazi leader could have escaped from the German capital. Even Marshal Georgy Zhukov, Stalin's chief army officer, after an exhaustive investigation in 1945, claimed not to have found any corpse that could be Hitler's. Thomas J. Dodd, the head of the American prosecuting attorney in Nuremberg, also expressed uncertainty, stating that no one could assert with certainty Hitler's death. Jimmy Burns, former Secretary of State, shared a revealing anecdote. During the Conference of the Four Powers in Potsdam, Stalin allegedly told Burns that Hitler was not dead, but had escaped to Spain or Argentina. These testimonies contribute to the persistence of the theory of Hitler's escape. The possibility of the German leader's escape was amplified by the successful getaway of other high-ranking Nazi officials, such as Adolf Eichmann and Josef Mengele. The hypothesis that Hitler could have used doubles to confuse his enemies adds an additional layer of intrigue. Is it possible that he left the body of a double in Berlin while he escaped to some secret destination?
Hitler and the Nazis were particularly interested in Antarctica. I think they really believed that there were things going on deep under the ice. And there have always been rumors that the Nazis, with their submarines, have underwater caverns, small cities, that they escaped there after World War II.
The most twisted stories told that he opted for a daring escape southward, finding refuge in a secret base in Antarctica. This lair, known as Base 211, was imagined as an underground complex where the Führer and his closest followers would have devised a plan to resurface at some future point in history and revive the aspirations of Nazism. Advocates of this hypothesis argue that Antarctica offered the ideal conditions for the Nazi leader's exile. It was an unexplored, isolated, and hostile land, challenging any attempt at pursuit, the perfect burrow for the most wanted man in history. It was speculated that the Nazis' secret technological advances facilitated their escape and establishment in this remote enclave. We're not just talking about the renowned German submarines and destroyers, key elements of the Nazi combat fleet, but the wildest of conspirators refer to mysterious flying saucers supposedly developed by the Third Reich. A fervent Nazi sympathizer, Ernst Zundel, spread the theory that Hitler and a select group of followers had escaped through a hole at the South Pole, venturing into the Earth. Within this underground world, Nazi scientists were dedicated to building a new army and developing revolutionary flying vehicles known as UFOs. This technology was never found in the German bases after the Allies' search. However, unreliable eyewitnesses claimed to have seen them and even, on occasion, piloted them. The story of the escape to Antarctica takes an even more intriguing turn by suggesting that, in his exile, Hitler would have continued to develop advanced and secret technologies, hoping for an eventual triumphant return. Speculation abounds about scientific experiments and engineering projects carried out in the vast icy expanses, all while the outside world believed that the Nazi leader had perished in dire circumstances in his castle, surrounded by the enemy. However, it is crucial to point out that the overwhelming majority of scholars and historians reject these claims. They consider them to be pure fantasies without basis or credible evidence. The general consensus maintains that Adolf Hitler ended his life in the bunker in Berlin in April 1945. The accepted version of history maintains that the Nazi leader, faced with the collapse of his empire, chose alongside his companion Eva Braun. They both ingested a cyanide capsule and finished the job by shooting themselves in the temple. The intriguing question that arises from all this is where Hitler and his lieutenant's obsession with the mythical frozen continent came from. Let's delve a bit into this line to understand why conspirators choose this destination as the place where the Führer would choose to take refuge. During World War II, international competition extended to remote territories, even reaching the icy vastness of Antarctica. Although this region was not a battleground, it was of strategic interest to Nazi Germany. In 1938, prior to the conflict, the Third Reich organized the Third German Antarctic Expedition, a secret naval force aimed at preempting Norway's claim over Queen Maud Land. This expedition laid the groundwork for the controversial German claim known as New Swabia.
On December 17th, the German freighter MS Schwabenland sets out on one of these top-secret missions. Its 33-member team is rumored to include scientists, military experts, construction crews, and key members of the Thule Society, an elite group associated with the Nazis that focused on mysticism and the occult.
This Nazi enclave encompassed territory claimed by the Germans within Norwegian sovereignty. In 1939, the crew of the MS Schwabenland, the vessel of the aforementioned maritime organization, clandestinely explored this area with the purpose of establishing a German whaling base. The initiative was part of Hitler's efforts to secure autonomous fat production, thus reducing dependence on Norwegian imports. The expedition, led by experienced Captain Alfred Richer, reached the Princess Martha Coast on January 19, 1939. After the construction of a temporary base, Third Reich flags were raised on the coast, and investigations in the area were conducted. 2 Dornier-Wall seaplanes, transported by the MS Schwabenland, made 15 aerial reconnaissance flights, capturing around 16,000 aerial images of the New Swabia region. Despite these explorations, Nazi Germany did not establish permanent settlements in Antarctica. The expedition left the region on February 6, 1939, and returned to Hamburg on April 11th of the same year. With the defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II in 1945, they lost their claims over New Swabia, and Antarctica was no longer a potential stage for German settlements. This chapter, marked by Nazi Germany's Antarctic ambitions, adds a fascinating nuance to the complexity of events in the most significant conflict of the 20th century. In addition to the factually verifiable interest of the Nazis in the Antarctic territory, there were other elements that fueled myths about Hitler's escape to the frozen continent. The metaphysical and supernatural superstition of the Reich members is well known. The most fanatical followers of Nazism fervently believed in Norse mythology and in many of the legends that arose from this tradition. For that reason, that mysterious block of ice at the southern end of the planet attracted the attention of the National Socialists, who believed that there were buried secrets of those fables there, and perhaps answers on how to perfect the human species to turn it into the Aryan race. The historical context of the mid-20th century reveals that the imagination of the Nazi hierarchs, including Hitler, was captivated by esoteric theories of a hollow Earth inhabited by a superior race located in Antarctica. a precedent that was indicative of the Führer's mythological obsession with these snowy territories. Where Nordic tales unfolded was a secret expedition to Iceland. This journey, prior to the outbreak of the war, was not carried out by Hitler himself, but by someone of his utmost trust, Eva Braun. Let's watch footage of the event. While the official version suggests that the Chancellor saw the island as a possible strategic enclave, some conspirators venture to explore the possible hidden motives behind this fascination. It is speculated that the German leader, known for his interest in geography and military strategies, might have had deeper reasons for focusing his attention on Iceland. Some suggest that, under the guise of strategic exploration, Hitler sought to establish a Nazi presence on the island, using its location as a possible stronghold in the North Atlantic. Others believe he was searching for mythological elements belonging to the Germanic gods that would grant him extraordinary powers to lead the world and populate each of its corners with representatives of the superior race. The expedition led by Eva Braun, shrouded in mystery, may have had the purpose of assessing the feasibility of these hidden plans. Was Braun exploring the possibility of using Iceland as an outpost for the Third Reich, or perhaps seeking fantastical weapons to elevate Nazi Germany to the pinnacle of power? Although the exact details of the motives behind this expedition remained unanswered, the idea that Hitler and Braun were plotting something beyond mere strategic exploration has kept alive the historical and conspiratorial intrigue of this journey and the alleged escape to the South Pole. Inspired by the ideas of Madame Blavatsky and the Thule Society, the Nazis were eager to demonstrate the superiority of the Aryan race and embraced legends of advanced civilizations in the Earth's core. These elements contributed to the mystery that has always surrounded the figure of the Führer, fueling speculation and conspiracy theories over time. There was a real search for evidence to support the existence of a secret expedition led by Hitler to the South Pole, with the intention of finding the entrance to the supposed inner world of the Earth. During the Nuremberg trials, Admiral Karl Dönitz made enigmatic allusions, stating that the German submarine fleet had established a terrestrial paradise, an impregnable fortress for the Führer, somewhere in the world. Without specifying the exact location, many interpreted it as referring to Antarctica.
The Thule Society actually believed that there were mystics or channels who were able to communicate with these beings who claimed to be either extraterrestrial in origin or claimed to belong to this civilization that lived in Earth's interior. They gave a lot of information about the building of advanced aerospace vehicles, flying saucers, and I think this is where Hitler's Nazi party got a lot of its information about Antarctica. That in Antarctica there is this ancient civilization or bases where they could find a lot of these advanced technologies.
All these bold fantasies persisted until 55 years after the end of the war. Declassified documents from the Russian Secret Service revealed the truth. Hitler had taken his own life, as did Eva Braun, and trusted propagandist Joseph Goebbels. Following the Nazi leader's directives, their bodies were incinerated. When Soviet forces arrived, they found charred remains, unable to identify whom they belonged to. Being looted by soldiers, the remains underwent forensic analysis, finally revealing their true identity. In 1970, under the order of Leonid Brezhnev, the bodies were exhumed, incinerated, and the ashes scattered in the waters of the River Ala to prevent fanatical pilgrimages. However, it is normal for urban legends to persist over time, so the resurgence of these old stories can reach truly surprising places. An example of this was the media attention received by a series of discoveries in Lake Vostok in the year 2013. Scientists successfully drilled into this lake, located precisely in Antarctica. It was a vast reservoir of liquid that had remained isolated from daylight for 14 million years, lying buried under kilometers of ice. It became the subject of an ambitious multi-year research project aimed at studying its waters, which could harbor life forms unknown to science. While attention was focused on this scientific project, it was inevitable to avoid resonance with the conspiracy discussed in this video. This resurgence of speculation was linked to Hitler's escape to the South Pole, but from a different perspective, albeit equally wild. According to some accounts, months after the Nazi surrender in 1945, a U-530 submarine allegedly arrived in Antarctica from Kiel, Germany. Unlike the claims we explored earlier in the video suggesting the construction of a fortress for Hitler's concealment, this is a new conspiracy theory. It was speculated that the Nazi crew, upon reaching Antarctica, chose to hide boxes containing relics of the Third Reich, including secretly stored samples of Hitler and Eva Braun's DNA within ice caves. The purpose of concealing these genetic portions of the Führer and his wife was sinister. The idea of the Nazi scientists leading the expedition was to achieve technological advancements that would enable them to clone the Reich leader and his wife to continue the Nazi reign. After completing their mission, supposedly, the sailors in charge of the expedition headed to Argentina, where they surrendered to the authorities in Mar del Plata. Their testimonies have been nothing more than rumors, but they deeply resonated with conspiracy theorists who didn't hesitate to start circulating these versions. Despite sensational headlines, it was never proven that there were remains of Hitler or any Nazi hierarch hidden in the buried lakes of Antarctica. Although it may seem counterintuitive, the silence surrounding this conjecture could be interpreted as further evidence of the existence of these relics, at least for those who enjoy weaving conspiracies fueled by the same Nazi madness as detailed in the following testimony.
The Nazis themselves were fascinated by ancient civilizations and legends of vanished super races. They were searching for this lost Arctic home that they thought that the Aryans had come from. They were looking all over the world, and that included Antarctica.
Despite the lack of verifiable evidence, the legend of Hitler's supposed escape to Antarctica has endured, capturing the imagination of writers, filmmakers, and conspiracy theorists. The idea of Hitler hidden in the vast, icy expanses continues to serve as a window into a world of alternative possibilities, challenging conventional historical narratives and keeping the flame of speculation alive. This tale has been the basis for numerous books, documentaries, and films that explore the possibility of the existence of secret societies, advanced technologies, and hidden agendas that could have developed in the southernmost region of the planet. Despite the lack of factual support, the allure of the story persists, demonstrating the enduring ability of conspiracy theories to captivate popular imagination and challenge accepted historical explanations. In conclusion, the truth behind Hitler's alleged escape to Antarctica remains elusive and a true mystery. This plunges the accounts of the most convinced into an ocean of speculations and myths that are difficult to justify. While some continue to explore these alternative narratives, official history maintains that Adolf Hitler committed suicide in his Berlin bunker due to the collapse of the Nazi regime, leading to the end of World War II. Meanwhile, the vast frozen continent remains fertile ground for the wildest speculations, which, although unconfirmed, have not been entirely debunked. In this way, we are concluding today's video. But before we finish, we wanted to ask you, do you think Hitler actually fled to Antarctica for refuge? If you believe he died in Berlin in 1945, do you think it's possible that he attempted to hide samples of his DNA on the icy continent to be cloned years later by his Nazi scientists? We look forward to hearing your speculations in the comments section below. Thank you for sticking around until the end, and we look forward to seeing you in the upcoming installments of Military History.